Shannon Joy Show. Hello, world, and welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. We're broadcasting live from the Joy Virtual Studio right here in the beautiful Finger Lakes region of New York State. It is so great to be with all of you today. It is Monday. Welcome to the week, March 3rd, approaching the Ides of March, and we have a lot to talk about today. No rest for the weary over the weekend. The news cycle keeps pumping, and we're just trying to catch up, take a breath, and deal with all the news of the day. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. We are broadcasting live on Rumble. We're live on Twitter, Spreely TV, Roku TV, Apple TV, of course, our friends over at Patriot TV, broadcasting the Shannon Joy Show every day, Monday through Friday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Huge thanks to our amazing, brilliant, beautiful, wonderful producer, Annie Cyrus, who is producing the show today. And thanks to all of you, those of you who are watching the Shannon Joy Show, who support the Shannon Joy Show, who send me emails and letters and comments. We could not build this independent network without all of you. And we are upwards reaching millions upon millions of viewers and listeners every single week. Big thanks to Radcast, our latest partner who is promoting and pushing out the Shannon Joy Show via audio on every single podcast platform. They are amazing partners, and we are doing millions upon millions upon millions of downloads as I speak to you right now. It truly is amazing. We have a lot to do today. You guys saw the heading, and I think you guys like the title of the show today. Was Bobby Kennedy Jr. kidnapped in Washington, D.C. and replaced with a measles, fear porn, and vaccine pimping robot? That is the question. I'm just kidding, but OMG. What is up with the Fox News editorial that was written by Robert Kennedy Jr.? It appears, though, that it was written by the pharmaceutical cartel, could have been written by Anthony Fauci, could have been written by Deborah Birx, could have been written by the Biden, health team. This is all of the talking points, the entire playbook of fear, poor, pandemic, pimping, leading us to, of course, the savior, which is some form of mRNA vaccine or another health intrusion into our life, adopting all of the talking points of the left and of the pharmaceutical industry, the exact opposite, like complete 180 of what Robert Kennedy Jr. was talking about over the past 20 years and what he wrote about in this book with Brian Hooker, an amazing book, Vax Unvax, which lays out the risk-benefit profile of nearly every vaccine on the childhood schedule, including MMR, the measles, mumps, rubella, and in every case found basically that the risk of vaccine injury and or death would outweigh any perceived benefit of the MMR vaccine. So this is full scale 180, complete betrayal, in my opinion. So of course, we're going to talk about this today. I have statements from Health Ranger, Mike Adams, also one of our good friends, Maria Z over at Z Media. A lot of people in the medical freedom movement are very confused, very concerned, and speaking out about what has happened to RFK since he entered the White House. And everyone here on the live chat seems to feel very similar. This is over, in my opinion, right? It's seriously bizarre Fox opinion piece. He's basically contradicting everything he's ever said and recommending that parents vaccinate their kids against measles with the MMR vaccine to combat the measles outbreak in Texas. We talked about this last week. The press conference was pretty disturbing when he adopted the propaganda of pandemic fear porn and bought hook, line, and sinker all the lies that were coming out of Texas about a measles outbreak and repeated that back to a massive audience. Also ignoring the fact that so many children who have been vaccinated with the mRNA COVID vaccines likely have reduced or compromised immune systems, making them more vulnerable to run-of-the-mill viruses and diseases. And so if you're not picking up on that critical point that is pushed out on a regular basis by people like Garrett Vanden Bosch, then you're missing everything. They're going to be able to ramp up the fear, and this time it's going to be real, but not because of these viruses. It's going to be because of the autoimmune disorders that have been created and caused by the toxicity of the mRNA platforms. It's outrageous. Outrageous. Health Ranger Mike Adams had this to say about that. If RFK Jr. actually wrote this piece, which I have right here, we'll take a look at it, then he has been captured and replaced with a robot clone. Nearly every statement in this paragraph from a Fox News article attributed to him is blatantly false and contradicts his previous statements on vaccine risks. And that is from Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, who is a huge voice in the medical freedom community. This is the statement from Bobby Kennedy in this piece. Measles is a highly contagious respiratory illness with certain health risks, especially to unvaccinated individuals. The virus spreads through direct contact with infectious droplets when an infected person breathes, coughs, or sneezes, says RFK. Early symptoms include blah, 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 blah. Most cases are mild, but rare complications can be severe, blah, 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 blah. And then he goes on to recommend that every parent go out and consider vaccinating their child, which at least he does say is a choice, right? But this is actually pretty disturbing. This was from Z Media. That is Maria Z, another medical freedom warrior, early critic of all the COVID lockdowns out of Australia. Maria now resides in the United States of America. I believe she moved to Texas. And she questioned this bizarre article, this op-ed in Fox News from Bobby Kennedy Jr. She said, to be clear, as some are saying this is fake news or a misrepresentation, this is not. Here are his words in the article. In response to the outbreak, I've directed the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the Administration for Strategic Preparedness and Response, ASPR, to work closely with the Texas health authorities to provide comprehensive support. HHS efforts include offering technical assistance, laboratory support, vaccines, and therapeutic medications as needed. This is the COVID lockdown playbook. This is using the fear porn, misrepresenting what is really happening in the state of Texas, as we discussed last week, and using that to push and pimp government interventions and protocols, and also, of course, deadly toxic vaccines, a whole variety of vaccines. He said all parents should consult with their healthcare providers to understand their options to get the MMR vaccine. The decision to vaccinate is a personal one. Vaccines do not only protect individual children from measles, but also contribute to community immunity, protecting those who are unable to be vaccinated due to medical reasons, not philosophical reasons, not religious objections. He is carving out this category to be just medical reasons, which is another step backwards. We're stepping so far back. We're now having to combat false perceptions and propaganda from our own guy in the White House. This is somewhat of a disaster. It's somewhat of a disaster. And it's why I believe that it's over. It's over. Trump is going to expand the production of mRNA technologies. They're going to expand the takeover of so many of our institutions by Doge and the private corporate billionaire tech class, the functions of government. They're going to oversee Starlink. They're going to oversee an expansion. The chicken culling is still happening. Another headline that dropped over the weekend, the USDA. So this is an organization that is under the banner, the umbrella of HHS, which would be Bobby Kennedy Jr.'s purview. They are now moving fast, and they might have already approved an mRNA vaccine for livestock to combat the avian flu or the bird flu, right? So these are moving into production as I speak to you today. It's happening very, very quickly. This is a disaster. This is a disaster. What do you guys think about all of this? Let's say hello to the live chat here in the Shannon Joy Show. We're also going to give you a Tate update today. The Tate pimps, I tweeted out earlier, are now enjoying Epstein level federal protection from the Trump administration and Trump allies. It's absolutely breathtaking.
You have to stay healthy and well at times like this. You know that I often have suffered from mobility issues, and now I don't. Part of my lifestyle is Native Path collagen. So Native Path's collagen formula is made with ingredients that are scientifically developed to increase bone mineral density, support tissue recovery, reduce wrinkles, enhance hair thickness, and strengthen nails. Who wouldn't want more collagen with all of these benefits? So right now, when you visit getnativepath.com/dailyclout, you can stock up on Native Path collagen for up to an incredible 45% off today, plus free shipping. Every order comes with a 365-day money-back guarantee. You can try it risk-free today. It is a single ingredient formula with no fillers, additives, or artificial sweeteners, and it's third-party tested for heavy metals, which makes sure that it is pure and safe. It's flavorless. You can add it to anything. I add it to my oatmeal. You can add it to coffee or smoothies. Its formula makes it more bioavailable, meaning it's absorbed more easily and mixes without clumping. And the best part is Native Path is offering amazing bundle deals, 3 or 6 packs at a fraction of the price of other brands. With over 4 million jars sold, 1 million happy customers, 8,000 5-star reviews, and a 365-day no-risk guarantee, Native Path is a trusted choice, and they offer an 800 number. You can ask any question. A real person is waiting to help. You can join a private Facebook community. I love these people. Share recipes, success stories. So that's getnativepath.com/dailyclout and start your experience of transformation today.
So we're going to talk about some of that today as well. The USDA moving to approve the mRNA vaccines. Obviously, we're going to get into Bobby Kennedy and his pivot. I mean, it's a 180. It's over. This is why I'm saying I don't believe that anything is going to come out of Washington, D.C. I think it's over. I think we got as much as we were going to get. The optics win of the anti-vaxxer goes to Washington, D.C. was about all we were going to get in terms of this nomination. I think it's only going to get worse from here. Many people disagree with me on that within the medical freedom movement, and they want to wait and hope and wait and hope, and they can do that. They can be in their lane. I'm going to be in mine. But at this point, when you have the administration embracing the mRNA technologies, you have Robert Kennedy Jr., head of HHS, now embracing the propaganda and the talking points of the pharmaceutical companies and not opposing mRNA in any way. We don't have a ban on mandates. In fact, we have states now like Hawaii moving to remove the religious exemption for childhood vaccines, which means, again, we are going backwards. Right now, we are on defense. We were on offense. Now we're on defense in terms of the medical freedom movement. Question is, where is Maha? Maha is about the food. Does Maha have anything to say about injecting the nation's livestock, our food sources, with mRNA technologies, right, without properly studying them and knowing how they'll impact the human body? There are so many questions out there, but they are moving. The pedal is to the metal on all of this. And this is why I am all in on localism. It's going to be local, organic, grassroots, bottom-up movements across the United States of America at the local level, the county level, and the state level. And we are going to have to be prepared for radical disobedience. Radical, organic disobedience to everything. Their shots, their recommendations, their digital currency, their digital ID, the new IRS as being recreated by Doge, all of the things that they are going to pimp to us over the next 4 years, we are going to have to radically oppose and refuse to comply. That is the most powerful movement that we can have. And I have to tell you that my faith in humanity has been restored today by a gentleman, a regular guy out of the great state of Iowa. We're going to spend a lot of time on this. His name is Dan Twellmeyer, and you can follow him on Twitter. He's just a regular guy in Iowa who has successfully managed to get a bill to ban mRNA in the state of Iowa, among other things. Today at 1:30 p.m. live, Medical Freedom Warriors, Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Mary Talley Bowden, Dr. Molly James. We have Ed Dowd are testifying live today at that Senate committee hearing in the state of Iowa. That happens at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time today. We tried to carry it here on the show. I wanted to carry it live and push it out on all my platforms. We couldn't figure out how to do it. So I would encourage you guys to go and follow Iowa Standard on Facebook and on Twitter. They're going to be running that hearing and their testimony live today. This is the answer. We're not going to cry and we're not going to curl up in the fetal position and stick our head in the sand and pretend that Trump and RFK are going to save us. We're going to rip that Band-Aid off fast, realize what time it is, and oppose everything. And we need to organize more than ever at that state and local level. I am so pumped to build a new movement, a new freedom movement. I was blessed and honored to be part of the medical freedom movement. But after it has been hijacked by MAHA and all of the grifters and the pharmaceutical lobbyists in Washington, D.C., I am making the determination that there is pretty much nothing good that's going to come out of this administration. If there is, we'll celebrate and we'll give them credit, but I am very, very skeptical about that. So I'm going to be moving in a different direction. I'm not going to wait around for them to keep their promises when they're betraying us to our faces on a regular basis, one rug pull after another. No, we're going to get busy and get ready to start organizing again at that local level to resist all of it. So I am so thrilled. Dan really inspired me. I had a long conversation with him yesterday, and you can follow him on Twitter. His handle is at Dan Twellmeyer. And it was his efforts working with all of these different connections to put this bill together. And they have it. There is another bill, I believe, in the state of Montana. If I could be wrong, but there are very similar bills. We're going to have to get rid of this stuff from the bottom up, local level, outside in. Okay, that's how we're going to be able to reform. And listen, if we say no, they have no power whatsoever. We learned that during COVID-19. We learned that when we have just a small percentage of people standing up and saying no, rejecting the vaccine, rejecting the mRNA, refusing to put the mask on or submit to 6-foot social distancing, refusing to shut down their businesses, refusing to stay home. There were so many people refusing in that time. We also saw that when the market stands up, the culture against Bud Light, when they try to push transgenderism, and Target, when they try to push the queer market on innocent kids in Target stores across the country, we saw a small number of people pushing back and just saying, oh, hell no. It is so important. And they're going to try all kinds of things. You know, the financial stuff is coming. They're going to try to get us on the digital currency. They're going to try to get us on the digital ID. They're going to try to consolidate everything. They're going to try to shove a pimp, a self-admitted pimp, rapist, and pornographer, the Tate pimps, down our throat and make us believe, right? Like they're forcing us to accept criminal cartels. And so with the Tate issue and the Bobby Kennedy Jr. issue over the weekend, I'm out. I'm not going to play the dance and play the game and try to give them credit here and credit there. I'm just full on loyal opposition. That's where the Shannon Joy Show is going to be sitting for the next 4 years. Everyone is welcome. If you're an independent, a Democrat, a Republican, if you're sick of the betrayal and the two-party political nightmare, the fake wrestling, key fab, WWE fake fights. By the way, Zelensky and Donald Trump last week, I mean, that was totally keyfabe, right? It was totally WWE. It looks so fake to me. I don't know if I was the only one that picked up on that, but we're just over it. I'm just over it. Are you guys over it? So let's go to the live chat right now and say hello to all of you. You guys are amazing. Zen Woman, the Medical Joy Movement. What a nice ring. Yeah, we're going to build a new movement, a new freedom movement. The medical freedom movement, it's being fractured, reframed, repitched, taken over by Maha. And there are all kinds of really dirty money interests, by the way, all throughout Maha. I would say as far away from that movement as humanly possible. It's just not good at all. And so, yeah, it's over. So now we're going to have to, fight all the other things and build a new movement. And that's super fun. That's my specialty. So today we're going to look at SF360. There's a call to action that I posted on Twitter. Everything is linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. Again, Dan Twellmeyer is point on this. If you follow Iowa Standard on Facebook and Twitter, they are broadcasting the testimony of some of our dear friends, many of them coming to the Summit for Truth and Wellness on March 29th. You're going to meet so many in the medical freedom movement who are standing strong in person right here in Rochester, New York. I will be there as well. I cannot wait to meet all of you. And that is on March 29th. That is summitfortruth.com to get your tickets. Get them now. They're flying, by the way. Summitfortruth.com to get your tickets on March 29th. Mary Talley Bowden, one of the featured speakers at our summit on the 29th. She is testifying today in Iowa, along with, as I mentioned, Peter McCullough, Ed Dowd, Dr. Ben Tapper, and Dr. Molly James, among others. It's excellent. So we're going to get into that grassroots organizational movement. We're going to give you all the information, how you can support that bill. Get a mirrored bill. Why not get involved in your own state? Take these bills that are so well written and use them. Begin to lobby your local officials to take mRNA off the market in your state as well. We aren't going away, said KB Smile. KSB Smile, so glad to see you on the live chat. I agree with you. We're not going away. And it's going to be fun. We're going to refuse to comply. And we're going to do it as much as we possibly can. We're going to exercise those resistance muscles as much as humanly possible. Find new systems, parallel organizations, and completely emancipate, break out of that false, fake, two-party political system. The Trump administration right now, as evidenced by the statement of Bobby Kennedy Jr. and HHS, is adopting the rhetoric and the policies of the Biden administration in terms of pandemic response. And so, yeah, that's where we are. I'm just a rip the Band-Aid off kind of gal. It's all about efficiency. It's all about efficiency. And this is a really great example of this. My good friend, Michael Kane, who is Teachers for Choice, tweeted out just the other day, protect religious exemptions and vaccination in Hawaii. This has national implications. We are now on defense, having to fight back against Hawaii. We are highly inefficient as a movement because we are now having to backtrack and go in and counteract the statements coming from our own people in HHS from Bobby Kennedy Jr. And that is making it's just going to be very difficult to get things done. And it's a waste of time. And I hate, like I said, I can't stand being inefficient, and I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want to waste my time. So let's, acknowledge what is going down in DC and begin to organize from the outside in. We need another Tea Party movement. Yes, medical freedom movement equals the Tea Party movement. We see this happen over and over and over. Common Core resistance. People came in, took it over, broke it up. Tea Party, outsiders and agents came in, took it over, broke it up. Medical freedom movement, Maha came in, took it over, branded it, and broke it up. And we detailed all of this with the exposure of the Means twins, Callie and Casey Means. So this is just, we should expect this. This is not, the moment to give up or curl into the fetal position and, go full on black pill. This is the moment to accept that truth and say, okay, You want to break apart our movements? We'll make more. We're onto your tricks. We're onto your games. We know how you operate. And every time you put change agents into our movements and try to break it up, we will resist that and we'll just create a new movement. And so I'm so thrilled, so proud of the medical freedom warriors who are speaking up in Iowa right now. You guys know who is with us, and it's exciting. It's exciting. So Guitar Lily is with us on the live chat. Beach Hawk 874 is with us as well. CJP Rumble is with us. Don't Frag Me Bro joins us on the Shannon Joy Show live chat today on Rumble. And let's see what you guys have to say here. I saw some really good comments at the beginning. Ranger 1791 said this: sadly, I was worried about RFK Jr. when he was kicking around the idea of running for president. His past politics did not give me great hope. Looks like it's playing out the way many of us feared. My first inkling came, Ranger 1791, in Boston, when Bobby Kennedy Jr. gathered thousands together in Boston, Massachusetts to announce his run for the presidency. And the entirety of the informed consent vaccine awareness movement was there, working with, RFK worked with so many grassroots organizers really over the past 20 years. He did amazing things. And they were all there. And it was at that announcement, the room was electric. Everyone was waiting for him to talk about vaccines in terms of protecting children's health and also the chronic health epidemic that we have in this country, both adults and children. And you could tell that people were waiting for him to finally say, we're going to look into vaccines. We're going to look into vaccines as a mechanism of harm and the safety. We're going to look into banning mandates and all those things. And he didn't. He omitted that from the speech. I picked up on it then, and then picked up on it again when he joined MAGA and the Trump team in the summer of 2024. Again, completely omitted the word vaccine from his speech, made it all about the food and the air and the water and MAHA. And that was when he introduced us to the change agents, Callie and Casey Means, who then took over the movement. So I noticed that too. I have told you guys for quite some time, I think just the optics, the win of getting him in a position of power would be a win for us. And then we'll have to see what he does. But the signs were there for quite some time. And now I think the fact that he has adopted the policy and the rhetoric of Deborah Birx and Anthony Fauci, we can very confidently assume that we're not going to get much more. They're going to talk about radical transparency. How can you be radically transparent when you're living in lies, when you are repeating lies? And that's the biggest problem with what Bobby Kennedy is doing right now. He's lying. He knows he's lying. He's saying the opposite of what he has said for almost his entire career in the past 20 years. It is blatant. It is in our face. He knows it. You know it. I know it. Everyone knows it. Okay. And you cannot be transparent when you are rooted, when everything that you are doing is now rooted in lies and mistruths. It's very difficult for anyone to accomplish anything of real import. And so radical transparency, they're gonna use that carrot. They're gonna dangle it in front of us for as long as they possibly can, so that we are silent, so that we don't say anything negative about Bobby Kennedy Jr. in the White House. That's not gonna work on me. So we're gonna criticize him now. And hopefully more and more will join. That doesn't mean that we don't like him and he's not doing his best and trying his hardest and all the things. If you want to believe that, go ahead. I don't know the man. I've never met him. I don't know what's in his heart. Same with Donald Trump. If you want to trust that he's trying really hard and doing the best he can and really loves America and really wants to make things better, that's your decision to make. And you can believe that if you want. I've seen no evidence of it. And as I mentioned, I don't know these men. So all I can look at is the discernible policy outcome, the words that they put on the page, the words on the bill, the words on the executive orders, and where the money is going. That's how we know what they're going to do. Let's take them at their words, right? Let's accept what they're telling us. Trump also telling us that he will put the full weight of the Trump administration, including JD Vance, behind the Tate pimps. So they are now full scale protecting self-admitted child sex traffickers. So at this point, from my estimation, this is clearly a criminal organization in Washington, D.C., and they need to be opposed. All right. So there we go. Bill Benz, RFK Jr. probably exchanged high fives with the Clinton, Dershowitz, Barr, and Trump and Epstein Island would be my guess. Well, I don't know about that. I think there are some examples of RFK. I think he admitted to either being on the Lolita Express or using Jeffrey Epstein's private jet to transport himself and his children down to Florida a couple times. So yeah, there are connections there. Is there any there? I don't know. Not nearly as many as there are between Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump, but they certainly are there. And I'm not going to make any estimations or any guesses about whether or not people are compromised. We're going to take people at their words and watch words and deeds moving forward. A lot of this is, we don't really know what's going to happen with others in the medical freedom movement. I can say Mary Talley Bowden has been spot on. Dr. Peter McCullough has been very good. Ed Dowd, very good. Lynn Finderella, excellent. Dr. Katrina Lindley, very good. Maria Z, Health Ranger, and also Kevin Bass has a really great piece that I linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show that we'll look at after the break. This is refuting everything that RFK wrote in that Fox News editorial recommending MMR to combat the fake ass measles outbreak in Texas. All right. So now we have to do this. We have to waste our time combating the rhetoric of the pharmaceutical corporations. But this time we have to do it with our own guy, friendly fire, Robert Kennedy Jr. This is why this is somewhat of a disaster. So we're going to look at Kevin Bass's piece that just blows apart everything that RFK put in his op-ed. And sorry, we have to do that, but we do. Don't Frag Me Bro says, actions speak louder than words. 100%. Don't frag me, bro, with a great comment. Pattern recognition and dot connecting is very important. The words and symbols they use are also telling. For example, so yeah, I agree with you. Don't frag me, bro, that pattern recognition is very important. In fact, that's a sign of a high IQ. Your ability to spot patterns and how fast you can spot a pattern, whether it's words or numbers or stories, images, pictures. Some of those old IQ tests measure how fast you can spot a pattern in a variety of different ways. And that's going to be really, really important. I tell my kids all the time, the key to surviving is pay attention and look for patterns. Always pay attention and look for patterns. And when they tell you who they are, believe them. Over the weekend, Bobby Kennedy Jr., for all of the great things he did over 20 years, helping the medical freedom movement, he has revealed to us who he is and where his allegiance lies. And it is not with the medical freedom community. It is with MAHA. It is with the Trump administration. And we know they are going to push the mRNA. They are going to push AI. They're going to push these new control mechanisms. All right. CJP Rumble is with us as well. Zen Woman with us on the live chat. You guys look fantastic. If you have a comment or question that you want me to read or answer, please put that in all caps so that I can see it. Patterns include people as well, 100%. All right, we're going to go to break. So today we're going to hear from some of the sponsors of the Shannon Joy Show. Could not bring the show to you every day without our wonderful, amazing, and valuable sponsors. We have Paul Stone of Colonial Metals Group. He's going to be with us live in the Joy Virtual Studio this Friday. And so I'm going to host that show with him. We'll be answering your questions and talking about the coming financial crisis. And it is coming. This is why so many people are developing a gold and silver strategy as I speak to you right now. It is a form of resistance. It is a form of refusal to comply with the tokens and the crypto coins and all the nastiness that they're going to shove at us as they try to move us into a digital beast system. So one of the ways to resist and to protect yourself is to pursue a gold and silver strategy, whether it's with physical gold and silver or through a self-directed IRA. Colonial Metals Group can help you get it done. Paul Stone is an amazing sponsor of the Shannon Joy Show, and he's also going to be live in Rochester, New York with our blockbuster lineup for the Summit for Truth and Wellness. We are going to hear from Dr. Pierre Corey, Dr. Mary Talley Bowden, Mary Holland, the president of Children's Health Defense. We're also going to hear from Sasha Latapova, Paul Stone, Jeff Dornick, Warner Mendenhall. Some of the greatest medical freedom warriors will be live in Rochester, New York on March 29th. You can get your tickets at thesummitfortruth.com. I cannot wait to meet all of you. This is going to be a very intimate event, all-day event. You're going to get to meet the speakers and me, collaborate with each other, build fellowship. This is how grassroots movements are built. It is coming together, spending time together, sharing information, iron sharpens iron, challenging each other, having a debate. Of course, the unbelievable Dr. Naomi Wolf will be with us as well in Rochester, New York. And I'm working on some other speakers too. You do not want to miss out. Go to summitfortruth.com. Today, you're also going to hear from our friends over at the Satellite Phone Store, Don Polano of PCM and Associates, and our brand new sponsors, All Family Pharmacy, allfamilypharmacy.com/joy with that promo code JOY10 for 10% off your entire order. And this week, we are going to introduce another new sponsor, Chef's Foundry Ceramic Cookware. Unbelievable. I've been using it all weekend long. These are amazing products. I don't have any of my notes for them now, but you're going to be hearing about them in the next couple of days. So welcome, Chef's Foundry. So glad to welcome you to this elite group of sponsors for the Shannon Joy Show. We're very careful with who we work with and only feature the best products and services. And when you patronize our sponsors, you're helping keeping this show completely independent. And that's where we need to be. We're going to get into very, very troubled waters here in the United States of America over the next 4 years. We need to know that we have each other in these organizations and we have each other's back so that we can push back. Okay. Thank you guys so much for being with us in this first segment. We're going to go to a commercial break and then we're going to get into all of the receipts, everything that I mentioned in this first segment. We'll get into as we discuss the changing political landscape. It's changing very quickly. We have to stay rooted to truth if we're going to survive, but we can do it. We'll be back in a moment right here on the Shannon Joy Show.
Hey parents, I have an early Christmas and holiday gift for you. We've all been there. 1 minute your child is bouncing off the walls, perfectly healthy, and an hour later, this child is very sick. You feel helpless and it can turn your plans upside down, especially on vacation. After thousands of customer requests, the wellness company has just launched the Kids Emergency Medical Kit. You no longer have to deal with emergency illnesses in a panic. Now you can have 6 critical medications at your fingertips to treat 20 plus illnesses for issues children have, such as strep throat, ear infections, lice, and respiratory illnesses. You can avoid urgent care and hospitals. The Kids Emergency Kit has been hand-selected by the wellness company's medical board and includes chewable amoxicillin, dissolvable ivermectin, and an optional EpiPen and more. This also includes a detailed guidebook guiding you step by step in emergencies. Ordering this kit is simple. Only parents can order for their children. Fill out an intake form and you will get a verification call for consent. Then it's delivered to your door. Don't wait till you're in the middle of a crisis and avoid late night urgent care runs. Order your kids' emergency kit today and remove panic from your life. And if 1 or 2 of the prescriptions run out, there's a replenishment option to restock only what you need. Go to dailyclouthealth.com and grab your kids' emergency kit right now. Use code DailyClout to save up to $40 at checkout. These kits are only available in the USA. Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. So pumped to welcome Dr. Pierre Kory back on the Shannon Joy Show tomorrow, live at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. We are going to welcome Dr. Pierre Kory. We're going to talk about this amazing bill and the testimony of Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Mary Talley Bowden, Ed Dowd, Dr. Molly James, and also Dr. Ben Tapper in Iowa. Very important bill. SF 360 will ban the mRNA technology in Iowa. This is the work of Iowa Standard, Lindsay Mahar, and Dan Twellmeyer in Iowa. These are grassroots, bottom-up organizers doing exactly what we all should be doing. We shouldn't be wasting our time inefficiently in Washington, D.C., waiting for RFK or Donald Trump to save us. They aren't going to do it. It's not going to happen. We need to take this upon ourselves and pursue every other form of resistance and refusal to comply from the local bottom-up level. So at your municipality, in the courts, in the states, blue states, red states, with our product purchasing, with supporting parallel institutions, getting out of the medical system, everything but the kitchen sink they are throwing at us, we need to throw it back at them, but we have to do it from the outside in. DC is corrupt. There is no saving it. It's over, in my opinion. Again, this is not shared by many of my colleagues, and I have, great respect for them. If they don't believe that, it's over, that's fine. They can pursue whatever they want. But here we're going to support the people who are actually getting it done outside of Washington, D.C. And Dan Twellmeyer is one of those people. Pierre Kory is going to be with us tomorrow to talk about this and more, the crisis that is the American healthcare system that is now being embraced by this administration and HHS. A real disaster, a absolute disaster. So everyone today in the medical freedom movement is talking about what many perceive to be a massive betrayal, complete 180. RFK Jr. adopts the talking points of Fauci, Birx, and the pharmaceutical lobbyists in an op-ed piece in Fox News, essentially using the fear porn, okay? It's a fake story. The measles epidemic in Texas is a joke. It's as much as of a joke as the COVID-19 pandemic, scamdemic. And he's adopting it. So he's accepting that lie, regurgitating it, pushing it out to his people. And then on top of that, pushing for parents to consider vaccinating their children with the MMR, which is a vaccine that he has taken apart many, many times for a variety of reasons, most emphatically in his book, Vax Unvax, that he co-wrote with Brian Hooker. Kevin Bass. So now, because our guy, Friendly Fire, is adopting these tactics and these talking points, we now have to combat them, right? This is the inefficiency of this movement. This is why it is such a disaster, honestly, when we get our people in Washington, D.C., because they become completely impotent. We become completely impotent. We start waiting. We're protecting them, or a lot of people in the movement are protecting them because they think they'll get access, or they're waiting on a piece of legislation or whatever, when we're watching our movement fall apart. So we have to make sure we keep this movement together. Kevin Bass, PhD, MS, did the very good work of taking apart everything that RFK stated in his Fox News op-ed. And I read you Mike Adams, the health ranger, basically said nearly everything that RFK wrote in that op-ed was a complete lie. I mean, that's how bad it was. And I'm not going to bore you with the details of pharmaceutical propaganda. Pharma company mRNA pimping propagandists wrote that op-ed piece, not RFK Jr., but he put his name under it. And that's a big problem. So Kevin Bass tweeted this out. This is linked in the show notes. All the fallacies behind this measles outbreak in Texas. He said, doctors often claim that measles is making a comeback because of the anti-vaxxers. And now, as I mentioned to you, RFK Jr. and Trump are adopting that. The outbreak is back. So I plotted measles cases as a 10-year rolling average using the CDC's own data. And I found that measles is actually not making a comeback. These doctors and experts, and sadly, Bobby Kennedy Jr., are simply lying to everyone, says Kevin Bass, PhD, MS. You can follow him, Kevin Bass, on Twitter. It is true that there have always been sporadic outbreaks, he writes. And after the golden period of about 5 years in the 2000s, when there were only about 80 cases per year, we were up to 240 cases per year now. But historically speaking, writes Kevin, the 2016 to 25 10-year period is the second lowest for measles cases in American history, second only to 2006 to 2015. So everything that RFK wrote in his op-ed is false. In the 1990s, there were 8,000 cases per year, but that's not all. There were actually the same number of deaths in 2016-25 as a previous 10-year period, 2016 to 2015. So that's right. During the 2006 to 2015 period, there was only one death. During the 2016 to 25 period, there was also only one death. Both 10-year periods were record lows for measles deaths. Imagine, children have been more safe from dying from measles over the past 20 years than any time in United States history, writes Kevin Bass. Yeah, we're going to do this fan dance again. We're going to, get into the WWE wrestling ring and play act that there's actually a worldwide deadly measles epidemic, and it's starting in Texas. And of course, all this is used to pimp vaccines and confidence in vaccines. So meanwhile, doctors are saying measles is making a comeback. The data shows that these doctors simply don't know what the hell they are talking about. For transparency and discussion's sake, he posted all of the rolling 10-year averages since 1690. So it is completely false. And let's not go into all of the problems with the MMR vaccines and their contributions to childhood injury. There are many in the medical freedom community out right now posting out VAERS information, VAERS data, the links between MMR and rates of autism, encephalitis as one of the top side effects of the MMR vaccine, among other very, very, very serious adverse events that can harm children. No discussion of that whatsoever by RFK, which is just mind-boggling. Absolutely mind-boggling. Mark Reagan, come on, the measles outbreak is so obviously fake. Why in remote Texas, right? We're going to keep an eye on this. It really is amazing. We're going to have to battle the rhetoric and the propaganda coming from Bobby Kennedy Jr.'s HHS. Instead of banning mandates, instead of ripping away pharmaceutical liability protection, instead of ending the emergency use authorization, the emergency order that was put in place by the preceding HHS secretary that RFK Jr. could undo with the stroke of a pen. That is the amount of power he has right now to end the COVID emergency and end the EUA. That would end pharmaceutical liability protection in one category for these COVID mRNA technologies, but he doesn't do it. Instead, RFK Jr. is repeating the talking points of the vaccine vaccine pharmaceutical lobby. Right? We're not banning mRNA. That was a major component with Mary Talley Bowden, Dr. Robert Malone, and Dr. Peter McCullough, all calling for the ban of the mRNA shots, and many others in the medical freedom movement. We're not even anywhere near that. They're expanding research and development of mRNA under Bobby Kennedy Jr. Tragic. Absolutely tragic. And so this is why we have to begin to organize and create a new movement from the bottom up. And this is what Dan Twellmeyer has done in the state of Iowa. 1:30 p.m. 2-day live Iowa Standard is the organization backing the bill, SF360. And also Dan Twellmeyer, along with the efforts of Lindsay Mahar, two grassroots local advocates in Iowa who brought this bill to the floor. So we're going to get into the details of this call to action for SF 360. You can watch the testimony. It's happening today at 1:30 p.m. live. It's going to be Mary Talley Bowden, Dr. Peter McCullough, Ed Dowd, as I mentioned, also Dr. Ben Tapper, and Dr. Molly James. We need to push to ban the mRNA from the markets. They are toxic. We're going to get into all of the justification, the talking points behind this bill, and how you guys can get involved and activated, support the passage of this bill, contact your representatives, and hopefully get this going in many, 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 many more states across the country. Texas, Florida, we have red states with red governors. We need to apply pressure to them. We're not going to get it done in Washington, D.C., in my opinion. So we're going to do that after we come back from break. But I do want to give you guys an update before we go to break on the Tate pimps. We were one of the only outlets last week to cover in depth the insane Jeffrey Epstein level protection racket that is being provided by the Trump administration, who smuggled the Tate pimps into the United States of America after applying diplomatic pressure to the government of Romania last week. And the Tate pimps are now safely transported just outside of Mar-a-Lago. They have like a $21 trillion rental apartment. But this looks like it's actually expanding at this point, despite misinformation peddled right now by a lot of influencers, right-leaning influencers on Twitter. And these are Elon's boys. So Mario Nawfal, Jack Posobiec, Mike Cernovich, Patrick Bet-David. He goes by PBD, and he hosts a lot of medical freedom people, and he's kind of quasi-right, but is a big part of that, Bizarro Con group that I talk about. He is hosting Andrew Tate today on his show, covering up for him, lying for him. He goes by PBD, but I'd say that stands for Pimp Boosting Dirtbag. That's who Patrick Bet-David is. All of these people revealing that their cover up and their platforming of the self-admitted child rapists and pedophiles, pimps, and pornographers, really exposing some of the nastiest elements of the conservative right. I was so thankful for Megyn Kelly, who spoke out last week on Friday, and she hosted one of the attorneys for the victims of the Tate pimps, self-admitted pimps. And so we have victims in Florida. There are victims in the UK. And this week, I'm going to work on bringing in Matthew Jury and some experts on what's going down with the Tate pimps. And also I'm reaching out to one of the lawyers of victims in Florida. There is a real chance, if we apply enough pressure to Governor Ron DeSantis and Republicans in Florida and the Attorney General in the state of Florida, there is a real chance that we could have the Tate pimps arrested, more criminal charges filed in Florida. So all of this is playing out in the state of Florida. Very, very interesting. Really glad to see that Governor Ron DeSantis initially came out swinging, saying that sex traffickers are not welcome in the state of Florida, and he's going to be using every tool available to his administration to see what they can do about the Tates. Good for Megyn Kelly. We need a big voice out there. This is so suppressed. This is definitely an operation, and we now know that they are going to expand. I mean, this is even more protection than Jeffrey Epstein got. Remember, for 10 to 12 years, there was no reporting on Jeffrey Epstein, very little reporting on Jeffrey Epstein. And it was the Miami Herald of all outlets that did the best reporting on the sweetheart deal that was given to Epstein. Remember, that sweetheart deal was negotiated by Ken Starr, famed attorney for the right, and also Alan Dershowitz, famed attorney for the left, and they often cross over. And so if it weren't for the reporting of that left-wing news outlet, Miami Herald, we might not have known Jeffrey Epstein might have gotten away with a lot of what he did, because both political parties were protecting him, particularly Donald Trump through a variety of different ways that we've discussed on this program many times. But we are now looking with the Tates, an expansion of that. This is the application of diplomatic pressure to foreign governments, Romania and the UK. And it's looking like, it's been reported that J.D. Vance will be leading the effort to push back against the UK, the government who is going to demand that the United States of America release or hand over the Tate brothers to face criminal charges in the UK. We also know that the Tate brothers cleaned out their entire home in Romania. Many are reporting that they are never going back to Romania. They will never face criminal charges in Romania. And right now you're being lied to. Many on the conservative right are saying that Romania has dropped charges. They haven't dropped a single charge. All the charges are still in place. That is a complete lie, complete disinformation. They are lying to your face. But it is being reported that J.D. Vance will lead an effort from within the Trump administration to protect the Tates from the UK government and criminal indictments, and also the Romanian government and their criminal indictments. In fact, J.D. Vance follows currently, he's a big fan of the Tate brothers, apparently, and J.D. Vance follows both of them on Twitter. That hasn't been solidified yet, right? So we don't have express statements from J.D. Vance, but this looks like it's getting more complicated. They are doubling and tripling down, even as very well platformed voices like Megyn Kelly and Lila Rose are now speaking out against this outrageous Tate situation. Thrilled to include in the show notes today our friend Josh Hammer, who is writing in an editorial in Newsweek, The Andrew Tate Moral Rot in the Future of the American Right. Josh Hammer coming out swinging against the Tate. I couldn't find a more perfect piece, and I want to encourage all of you. This is in Newsweek. This is from one of the guys on the right. Wonderful write-up by Josh Hammer. These moral monsters have been welcomed to our shores with open arms. It's appalling and shameful. The saga also exposes an unfortunate fault line in the American right, writes Josh Hammer, one the right must correctly sort out if it's going to have any meaningful staying power as a political force. He goes in and just takes apart the Tates. He said the Tates' escape to Florida became possible because Romanian authorities lifted travel restrictions, which was rather surprising given the nation had invested so much time and resources into the case and had not completed its prosecution. This is after the United States, as according to the Financial Times, applied multiple forms of diplomatic pressure, one with an envoy who was sent to Munich to talk to the Romanian representative about the Tates, and also 2 alleged phone calls that came directly from the Trump administration last week about the Tates specifically. Now we know that they are the U.S. government is likely going to try to protect the Tates from extradition to the UK. This is a nightmare story. And we'll try to have Josh Hammer in. Another great piece from Croaky came in on his Substack talking about and describing the situation with the Tates. There are some real men out there, and we appreciate them for continuing to blow the whistle on this. This is a disaster. This is indeed Epstein level stuff. Unbelievable. J.D. Vance is a protege of Peter Thiel, said Phyla Brock. So we're going to keep an eye on this story, and we're also going to work to get the attorneys for the victims here in the Shannon Joy Show. And I'm going to work on Murdered with Crayons, and also Nate Livingstone, who is at Milk Bar TV. They are doing some of the best in investigative reporting and journalism on this in the country. I'm glad that Megyn Kelly mentioned this on Twitter and mentioned this on her show. I hope that we will see more reporting, that this story will not go away, because the victims are now in danger. These guys are dirtbags. They are criminals. They're gloating and they're enjoying the warm embrace of really bizarre aspects of the American right. Okay. And some of the biggest pimpers are Elon Musk, Donald Trump, Don Trump Jr., Barron Trump, Patrick Bet David, Mario Knopfel, Jack Posobiec, and Mike Cernovich. In fact, Cernovich partied with the Tate brothers in Romania during lockdowns. I believe it was in 2020 or 21. And then Cernovich was responsible for bringing the Tate brothers to America to CPAC and introducing them into conservative circles. They are definitely a psyop, says Mark the Reagan. Yet another one. Tate Epstein from Done Fed Up is a distraction. It's not a distraction. What they are trying to do right now, the Trump administration seems to be trying to groom this nation and conservatives and Christians. He's trying to groom us to accept criminal thugs as legitimate in this country, criminal operations, crime cartels, human child sex trafficking. Right now, we are being groomed to accept it and not do anything about it. This is hugely important. It is not a distraction. And I think that it is a psyop, but it is a psyop designed to numb us to the very real truth that criminal cartels are in power in Washington, D.C. and normalizing human child sex trafficking. Because that's what it is. I mean, there are 60 named victims, 60 plus named victims willing to testify, dozens of charges of rape and pedophilia, running a sex trafficking ring, money laundering, abuse, and then also, of course, in their own words, Tristan and Andrew Tate multiple times self-admitting that they are pimps, they are pornographers, that they abuse women, celebrating it. And yes, that they engaged in sexual affairs with women we now know were under the age of 16 and 15, according to their own words. Okay, they are self-admitted. So this is a big deal. And we're going to continue to cover it here on the Shannon Joy Show. All right, we're going to go to break. When we come back with the third segment of the Shannon Joy Show, we're going to get into this amazing action in the great state of Iowa. Iowa citizens aren't sitting back. They're not waiting for the federal government to save us from something. They're taking on mRNA on their own. And there is a bill to ban the deadly, toxic mRNA platforms in the great state of Iowa. This is a really difficult battle, but we have to wage it. And hopefully this will be one of the first states of many states to begin the actions of banning mRNA, because we know that the government, the federal government, as run by the Trump administration and Bobby Kennedy Jr., they're not going to do it. They're repeating the talking points of pharma. So it's going to be up to us as citizens to get this done. So thankful for Dan Twellmeyer, who will join us on the Shannon Joy Show, hopefully later this week, for organizing this. He is such a great example to all of us, just a regular guy. We're going to get into the nitty gritty of this bill, and you will be empowered. You will be able to push back and help them in their efforts. And so we're going to do that when we come back right here on the Shannon Joy Show.
Naomi Wolf here. How are you doing with your New Year's resolutions? January is here. My start was pretty easy. My resolution was to focus on my well being. And we all know that the foundation of well being is a good night's sleep. So, if I could do just one thing to improve my sleep and overall well being, it is taking the number one mineral for sleep, which also helps me personally on so many levels. Yes, I am talking about magnesium. Actually, I am talking about the Magnesium Breakthrough by Bioptimizers. It's 7 different forms of magnesium in this supplement, which are involved in over 600 different biochemical reactions in the body. Pretty much every function in your body is upgraded when you do take magnesium, from the quality of your sleep for your brain function, metabolism, to your stress levels. And even if your 2025 resolution is not to focus on your health, as mine is, how are you really going to be able to achieve all your goals without quality sleep and stress management support? It's hard to do that. So please do yourself a favor and make Magnesium Breakthrough part of your daily routine this year so you can get the vitality that you need to conquer your dreams. Go to buyoptimizers.com/daily clout now and enter promo code daily clout to get 10% off of any order. And if you subscribe, not only will you get amazing discounts and free gifts, you will make sure that your monthly supply is guaranteed. Again, that's buyoptimizers.com/daily clout, promo code daily clout. Take care.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. I just love the services that are provided by All Family Pharmacy. If we've learned anything over this past weekend, the federal government, run by Donald Trump and with RFK Jr. firmly in place at HHS, they are still going to play games with pandemics response, and controlling how people access healthcare. And so moving into 2025, even though a lot of people think that their guys are in office, it is more important than ever that you guys have a great relationship with a pharmacy so that you can get the pharmaceutical products and the prescriptions that you need, like ivermectin, in case there are any type of government shenanigans. Remember, it was under Trump that we had the original lockdowns. Okay. And so people need to understand that the savior is not always going to come from Washington, D.C. We have to prepare for ourselves. And this is how you can do it with All Family Pharmacy. They are right out of Florida, family company, and they are providing people with all pharmaceutical needs. Very easy, convenient. You just get a prescription from your doctor. Your doctor works with the team over at All Family Pharmacy. They fill the prescription, they ship it to your front door, and you can even stock up and buy bulk. So if you don't ever want to be without the prescriptions that you need, I want to encourage you guys to go to allfamilypharmacy.com/joy. That is allfamilypharmacy.com/joy. That is my landing page. And when you use the promo code JOY10, that is JOY10, you will get 10% off your entire order. Great company, great sponsor. Let's support them here at the Shannon Joy Show. So thank you to All Family Pharmacy. Let's get to now. That's right, CJP Rumble, All Family Pharmacy, Joy10 is the promo code. All right, let's take a look at the live chat. We have Guitar Lily with us. We have Green Tea 369. Yeah, the next new diet eating fad will have to be an mRNA free food diet. They are really messing with our food supply. As I mentioned, USDA is either just about to or already has now approved an mRNA vaccine for livestock. So they're going to start injecting the nation's food supply, cows, cattle, chicken, goats, you name it, right, with mRNA vaccines to protect them against the avian flu. What does this do to the meat that we consume? What does this do to the eggs of the chickens who are injected with mRNA technologies? What happens when humans ingest mRNA technologies or livestock that have been injected? There are so many questions. And this is why we have to ban the mRNA and ban it immediately. There's no gray area here. And I'm really thrilled that Iowa has this bill. So we're looking at SF 360. Huge thank you to Dan Twellmeyer and Iowa Standard, also Lindsay Mahar for putting this bill together, and also the elected officials in Iowa who have supported it. We are super thankful to Doug Campbell, who is a legislator in the state of Iowa, Dennis Guth, Guth, also in Iowa, and Molly Donahue. In the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show, you have the subcommittee emails that are listed. You can send them a note of support and support their actions. But this is the subcommittee meeting today, 1:30 p.m. So about 10 minutes, you're going to see a live committee hearing featuring some of the biggest names in the medical freedom community who are not waiting for RFK to save them in Washington, D.C. Mary Talley Bowden, Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Molly James, Ed Dowd, and Dr. Ben Tapper, among some of the distinguished experts and medical doctors who are testifying in Iowa in just 10 minutes. This is a subcommittee to discuss prohibiting the administration of a gene-based mRNA, mod RNA, self-amplifying RNA or DNA vaccine until these products undergo much more thorough long-term safety testing. This is SF 360. You can read the bill in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. There is a copy that is on the Iowa government website. The select subcommittee is happening today, so you can watch the testimony and keep an eye on what is happening in Iowa. And I want to encourage you guys to do that. The mission now is for as many of us to find each other over the next 12 months and build up a new medical freedom movement, a new freedom movement, because we're going to have to ban, or we're going to have to resist digital currencies. We're going to have to resist the digital dollars or the central banking digital currencies or private banking digital currencies or the stable coins, wherever they are. We're going to have to resist new pandemic scare threats and fear porn and any new elements of mRNA. Also, we're going to have to resist all the work they're doing with Starlink. They're going to want to put up massive government data centers and attach them to nuclear reactors all over the US so that they can gather all of your data. We're going to have to resist that as well. So it's going to expand outwards from the medical freedom movement to just a basic movement. But this is what you have to do in every state across the country. We need as many people as humanly possible, organized, working together, sharing information, and pushing back against all of these initiatives as they manifest in the states, these federal initiatives. So you can make a public comment in support of this bill at iowa.gov/committees. And that is linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. Yeah, Stargate is the Larry Ellison Data Sensors Program. And they're gonna roll out mRNA cancer jabs. Exactly. The Politically Free Freedom Movement, says CJP Rumble. I like that name. That's awesome. So again, thank you to the bill's sponsors in Iowa, Doug Campbell, Dennis Guth, and Molly Donahue. You can participate on the Zoom. So this is going to happen via Zoom, but it's going to be ran live. No way, striding conservative. No, he didn't. Another tidbit on RFK Jr. He will no longer allow public comment on DHS rules. This is reported on The Hill. I'm going to have to make a note of that. David Leach, that is appalling. That is appalling. That is, as I mentioned, another step backwards. So here are some of the talking points on the bill. And this bill is supported, as I mentioned, by some of the biggest names in the medical freedom movement, Peter McCullough and Mary Bowden, namely. The current COVID-19 products are physically impacting unvaccinated individuals who did not consent to these products. So the problem with injecting everything with mRNA and injecting all of, the population with mRNA due to shedding, this is now beginning to impact the unvaccinated population. So if you made the right choice and you stood up and you lost your job and you spoke out against the coerced COVID-19 vaccines and declined them for you and your family, you could still be at risk. We could all still be at risk as the mRNA is changing our DNA. These products did not undergo transmissibility or shedding studies, which are recommended in the following FDA guidance for these specific types of therapies. The products exceeds where are we here? Therapies due to the risks that they pose for the general public. They go on to say these products exceed the FDA's threshold for a class 1 recall by a margin. Are you ready for this? Of 375,240%. To put that in perspective so that you can understand, in 1955, all right, so as of September 2024, the mRNA technology used in the COVID vaccines has been linked to 19,028 reported American deaths and over 38,398 American product-related deaths. Okay, these are massive numbers. And to put it into perspective, in 1955, the Qatar polio vaccine was pulled after 10 deaths. In 1976, the swine flu vaccine was pulled after 53 deaths. In September of 2024, the COVID vaccine was attributable, as reported by the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System, to 19,028 deaths, and it is still on the market. As of out of the 19,028 deaths, approximately 2,425 deaths occurred within 48 hours of vaccination. So this is like black box warning. This is a disaster. The product exceeds the FDA class recall margin by 383,398%. That's how bad the mRNA technologies are. They go in to talk about the mechanism, bacterial plasmid DNA contamination, and in some cases with the presence of a promoter or enhancer sequence from the tumorigenic virus known as SV40. That is the cancer causing, right? It's the cancer causing element that is featured, present. It was discovered by Kevin McKiernan, who I think actually might be testifying as well today in Iowa. It was discovered to have been in the COVID-19 vaccines, has been found in the mRNA vaccines. The threshold for DNA contamination acceptable by the FDA due to its genotoxicity is 10 ng per dose, but labs in multiple locations across the world have found it to be as high as 5,000 ng per dose. DNA contamination with the presence of a promoter, enhancer, or primer like SV40 increases the concerns for DNA integration into patients' offspring or the microbes that populate the human flora. Integration into a patient's cells could lead to adverse effects like harmful immune responses, right? Inflammatory reactions, or even tumor development, depending on the site of integration and its presence of oncogenesis. The products have been found to have negative efficacy, increasing the likelihood that those who receive them will come down with coronavirus or another respiratory infection, or will be less likely to fend off or ward off viruses like measles or the flu or the common cold. And this is where RFK Jr. is really doing us a great disservice by not alerting the American people that it is immunodeficiency, mass immunodeficiency that could be causing people to be becoming so sick. And as you all know, I have seen it myself. People are getting really sick. People are sick. Cancers are out of control. The cancers are out of control. And this is going to impact unvaccinated populations. It's no longer good enough for us to separate ourselves by our non-vaccinated status. Just the nature of the expansion of the mRNA technologies into everything, with the doors wide open, pushed wide open by RFK Jr. and Donald Trump. This is now becoming a threat, a major threat to the unvaccinated population. The products have been, 81,000 doctors, scientists, and 240 elected officials in 17 professional organizations have all called for the removal of the COVID-19 vaccine and the mRNA technologies from the market. And everything here is linked. These products, right, the backers of this bill, and we are looking at SF 360. The testimony is going to start in just a few minutes by Mary Talley Bowden and Dr. Peter McCullough, among others. Please go right after this show, go to Iowa Standard, follow them on Twitter or follow them on their Facebook page. They will be hosting this testimony live in just a couple minutes. These products, say the backers of this bill, are harming Iowans without just compensation for their injuries. Iowa has a right to decide what dangerous products are allowed to be sold or administered in our state, especially when they are impacting people who are declining these vaccines. Also, when true informed consent is absent from the process. This is everything. This is everything. This is what we have to do times a million, times 1,000. They are not going to do anything in Washington, D.C. That was evidenced by the absolute betrayal from Bobby Kennedy Jr. with his Fox News opinion piece now, doing a complete 180 on everything he has ever said about MMR vaccines and the nature of these pandemics. Right? It is over, in my opinion. And so we have to pivot fast. We have to move fast. As many people as humanly possible who are awake to this. It is now time for you guys to get motivated and activated. And I cannot wait. I want to meet as many of you as possible at the Summit for Truth and Wellness. These brave warriors are coming together. The medical freedom movement, who are the members of our movement who are moving forward. They're not waiting for action from RFK or Don Trump Jr. They're going to be in Rochester, New York with me for the Summit for Truth and Wellness on March 29th. I want as many of you there as humanly possible. This is when we are going to come together. You will make friendships. You will have fellowship with people who are like-minded, and it is everything as we build parallel systems. The mission of the Summit for Truth and Wellness is to benefit AFA, the Americans for Healthcare Alternatives. This is a local grassroots organization that I work with, right? 100% of the proceeds, every bit of money that we make from ticket sales and from the broadcast on March 29th will go directly to this organization. And they are committed to building a brick and mortar wellness center that is outside of the medical system, a parallel center so that people can get healing. They can get healing from injuries and vaccine injuries, get medical care and advice from a whole host, a holistic approach to healthcare. They've been meeting for 3 years. They've been raising money for 3 years, and we are going to hopefully bless them as much as we possibly can. But we need AFAs all over the country. We need people like Dan Twellmeyer and Lindsay Mahar and Iowa Standard all over the nation doing what needs to be done in your state and local communities and not waiting for a hero or a savior in Washington, D.C. Totally emancipated from the two-party political system. This is what we need to do. This is the only way we're going to survive. This is the only way we're going to be free. This is the only way that we can protect our constitutional republic. We are not a democracy. That's BS. They lie to you. We don't want a democracy. We don't need to protect democracy. We need to protect our individual sovereignty and local control, localism and analog systems. We need to protect our own individual sovereignty and our bodily autonomy as guaranteed to us by our Constitution. We need to protect our Constitution. It's not over. We don't need to give up our constitutional rights so that Trump can save us and create something even worse with Doge, ushering us into the new world order, only under the banner of republicanism, MAHA, and MAGA. I say no. So we're going to need all hands on deck. And this summit is going to be an amazing moment for us to come together and reestablish our movement. We're not a political movement. We don't get behind political candidates or people in Washington, D.C. We follow the facts. We look for discernible policy outcome. And if they don't deliver that discernible policy outcome, we don't wait for it. We get busy in our own communities. That's what it means to be an American. That's what it means to be an American citizen. We are independent, emancipated from this false, fake-ass two-party system, and we're ready to get to work ourselves. And I am thrilled. This makes me sing for joy because this is what we've been talking about on the Shannon Joy Show for 12 years. And it's unfortunate when these betrayals happen and they're so blatant and they're right in our faces, like the Tate pimps and the RFK op-ed that dropped over the weekend. It is painful to go through these experiences. It is painful to be betrayed, to have people that you trust betray you. But it is absolutely critical because it shows us very clearly where we need to be and what we need to advocate for, where we should not be wasting our time, where we should be devoting our time and our energy, right? No more armchair conservatism in this country. And so I can't wait to see you at the Summit for Truth and Wellness, summitfortruth.com, summitfortruth.com. I'll be sending out emails reminding you guys to get your tickets. We're moving them pretty fast and the speakers are absolutely amazing. You guys are fire. Thank you so much to Dan and his actions in the great state of Iowa. We're going to wrap up the show right now. I have everything that I used today sourced in the show notes here on the Shannon Joy Show. Thank you to PCM and Associates, Colonial Metals Group. Thank you to our friends over at All Family Pharmacy. Of course, the satellite phone store, sat123.com/joy. That is sat123.com/joy for all of your emergency and preparation needs. And of course, our new sponsors over at Chef's Foundry, who you're going to be hearing about as well. You guys are amazing. Annie, thank you for producing the show. You're amazing as well. Everyone, get off of this feed right now and get over to Iowa Standard. Follow them on Twitter. Follow them on Facebook, and let's support Dr. Peter McCullough, Mary Talley Bowden. Right now, they're starting up. Let's support their efforts and watch that testimony. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all again right here on the Shannon Joy Show.